Hey, what's up guys? We're over here at Nutrisport, David Calderon, Ben Martin. Talking a little bit today guys about joints, healthy joints to be specific. Joint function is huge, or proper healthy joint function is huge. If we have a bad knee, if we got a bad shoulder, if we got a bad elbow, bad ankle, we're not training. At least we're not training at an optimal level. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to promote healthy joint function, specific compounds that help to repair any type of damage within the joint, help to strengthen that joint so that we can, well, train hard and not miss any time due to some type of joint issue. So let's kind of talk about the four most important joint repairing compounds, joint building compounds, one by one. First one, MSM. It's a moniker that stands for, I wouldn't worry too much about it, but for giggles, methyl sulfonyl methane. That's MSM. What's the function, Ben, of MSM? What is it going to do?
Primarily, it's an anti-inflammatory.
Exactly. And why don't you tell them a little bit about how it might help them, how it's maybe helped you in the past?
I know, like most of us who have been training hard, I've gotten a little bit of achy joints, especially here in my shoulders. I know we all bench press on Monday, and I've got a little bit of shoulder pain, and that's due to inflammation. Essentially, my joints are fighting me back.
Exactly.
How do we combat that inflammation?
MSM is wonderful for controlling, reducing inflammation. A second ingredient, if you will, we've all heard of them, omega-3 fatty acids. These are what are called essential fatty acids, EFAs. Why are they essential?
Our body doesn't produce them. We can only get them from our diet.
Exactly.
And 99% of us are not getting enough.
Yeah, people don't necessarily eat enough fish. People aren't eating a lot of grass-fed tissues. So low omega-3 intake for most people. And let's face it, that is a huge reason why there's a lot of inflammation in society, and specifically in the joints, shoulders, knees, elbows, what have you. So these guys are also going to help to really control inflammation, buffer inflammation, if you will. And why is that important for any type of athlete or workout enthusiast? It's going to reduce pain, allowing for a better workout.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
not superficially
lifestyle.
reducing pain with painkillers, but naturally and healthily.
Great point. Absolutely. These aren't things that are band-aids that essentially cover something up. They actually get to the root of the issue, causing the presenting symptoms, reversing the issue. So, good holistic medicine. What's the third ingredient, if you will? It's called glucosamine. I know a lot of us have heard of glucosamine. It's not glutamine. Glutamine's an amino acid that helps to repair and rebuild muscle tissue. Glucosamine is actually a derivative of glutamine. It's glucose and glutamine bonded together. What does it do? What's its main function?
Glucosamine is a building block of connective tissue itself.
Exactly. I always tell people, think muscle tissue. What's the basic building block of muscle? Amino acids are the basic building blocks of muscle. And we have long chains of bonded or linked up amino acids that structurally form a protein in human muscle tissue. It's the same thing with glucosamine. These are individual building blocks that are connected together, forming what? Connective tissue, cartilage. As we get older, with any type of injury or overuse, what's going to happen? Just like in the gym when we do any type of a workout, we're stressing the joint. What do we do with muscle? We stress the muscle. We lose amino acids from the muscle. We got to put the aminos back to repair and rebuild that muscle, allowing for recovery. If we don't, we're sore the next day. Same principle with glucosamine. We want to put those building blocks, those raw materials, back into the joint capsule so that we can start filling in some of those holes, if you will, that were created by age overuse, or some type of actual injury. So those are the first three compounds. What's the fourth one? Chondroitin. What's the main function of chondroitin? It's actually going to pull water toward it. And why is that important? If we pull more water toward a molecule that's actually within the joint capsule, what effect are people going to have?
Lubricated, healthier joints.
And a cushioning effect too, which is very important. As we get older, we lose chondroitin from the connective tissue, and we don't have that same cushioning effect that we once had, allowing us, unfortunately, to sustain injuries more easily. So those are the first four, again, ingredients, if you will. This is the last one that I wanted to briefly talk about. Kind of a difficult name to pronounce. HA is the short-term moniker. Hyaluronic acid is the actual name of this compound. What is it? Well, it's also something that's heavily concentrated in certain tissues like connective tissue and cartilage. So as we get older, what happens? We start losing hyaluronic acid, and this guy is actually something that has a negative charge. So when we have a lot of hyaluronic acid molecules or compounds that are, well, in a network, you're going to have all these negatively charged anions, and what does that create? Repulsive forces, a better cushioning effect, better joint health. So, dosage. I think we should talk a little bit about dosage too. How much of each of these do we take? HA typically comes in 50 or 100 milligram capsules. I usually recommend minimum 50 milligrams 2 times a day, always on an empty stomach. Glucosamine, chondroitin, they've done a lot of clinical trials with these guys, and the dosages that actually start to repair and rebuild connective tissue, the dosages that actually work, respectively, 1,500 milligrams of glucosamine, 1,200 milligrams of chondroitin. So somebody that might be taking, I don't know, 800 milligrams of glucosamine a day and 600 mgs of chondroitin, they're going to probably complain that this stuff isn't working. Ultimately, why isn't it working?
We're underdosed significantly.
Exactly, they're not taking enough of it. MSM, the methyl sulfonyl methane, the anti-inflammatory that Ben talked about, this is something that minimum, as far as dosage, I recommend a couple thousand milligrams of per day. In divided dosages, usually you see MSM in 1,000 milligram dosages, so how would you break that up? I mean, a couple times a day, once a day?
Isn't it also in the hyaluronic acid as well, so we're getting it from a couple sources?
Yeah. Sometimes you might have a joint repairing product, and Ben mentioned it, it's a good point, that already has some of the MSM in it. We just got to determine how much MSM is in each, capsule. And this guy, per capsule, there's 450 milligrams. So we wouldn't necessarily have to take an independent MSM substance, because we're getting some in the HA and we're getting some in the glucosamine and chondroitin. So again, to recap, 50 milligrams twice a day, empty stomach of the HA, the hyaluronic acid, the glucosamine and chondroitin. Like Ben said, we got to take enough of this stuff or it's not going to work. How much? 1,500 milligrams of glucosamine, 1,200 milligrams of chondroitin. Third ingredient, MSM, minimum 2,000 milligrams per day in divided dosages, and good old omega-3 fatty acids that, improve the fluidity of that joint fluid within the joint capsule, allowing for better mobility, less inflammation. I recommend about 3,000 to 4,000 milligrams per day. I mean, what do you think?
There's, unlike glucosamine chondroitin, there's no minimum effective dosage for omega-3. Personally, I recommend about 4, like what Dave has.
Yeah, I agree. All of these things, guys, I think it's best to take on an empty stomach to maximize what? Absorption. Remember, absorption of any nutrient is key to that nutrient actually working. So, people might say, well, gosh, I'm going to have to take all these different things. How would I take them? Can you take them together? Yeah, you can take them together. They should be taken together. So that's going to make dosing a little bit more, I think, easily complied with, and that's ultimately going to help with effect as well. So, anything to add with regard to
Are these products bodybuilder specific? What types of people can utilize these products?
Everybody. I mean, shoot, a 80-year-old gentleman that just has a lot of wear and tear on his knees or ankles is going to benefit. A bodybuilder that's pushing big weight is going to benefit. A young, student athlete that tweaks their ankle, or maybe slightly tears the meniscus, her MCL. These are going to help to benefit that individual too. So that's an excellent question. Bottom line, who can use it? Anybody that has some type of joint dysfunction. So that kind of wraps up joint repair, guys. Joint health. Remember, without joint health, we're not going to necessarily live the lifestyle that we want to live. We're definitely not going to be in the gym training at an optimal level.
Performing optimally.
No, yeah. You're right. Absolutely. So let's get those joints healthy. Let's keep them healthy. Let's do things to rebuild and strengthen those joints so they're stronger than ever. And these guys that we spoke about right here, that's the prescription, if you will. It's not a pain pill. We're curing things from the inside out. Ultimately, what? Reversing previously thought irreversible issues. So, good approach, good strategy. Any questions, just let us know. Comments, let us know, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.